So you've probably got a handle on some key Italian verbs, right? Which is awesome. That's a huge first step. But now it's time to connect them. We're going to move beyond just stating facts and start telling a real story, the story of your day. And believe me, by the end of this, you're going to have every tool you need to do exactly that.
Okay, so right now, describing your day might sound a little choppy. Studio, manjo, esco. I study, I eat, I go out. I mean, it's correct for sure, but it doesn't really flow, does it? What we're shooting for is what you see on the right, a smooth, connected story. Prima studio, poi mangio e dopo esco. First I study, then I eat, and after I go out. Huge difference, right? Well, that's exactly the jump we're about to make together. Think of it like building with Lego bricks. We're just going to grab a handful of super simple, essential little bricks that you can click together in any way you want to build your story. All right, first up, setting the clock. This is our foundation. I mean, before you can talk about what you do, you got to be able to say when you do it, right? This is our cornerstone Lego brick. Okay, check this out. The best part about this is how crazy simple the rules are. To say at a certain time, you only need to know 3 tiny words. That's it. If you're talking about noon or midnight, you use a. If it's 1 o'clock, it's all. And for literally every other hour of the day, you just use la. So what if you want to talk about a whole chunk of time, like your workday? Easy. It's just a simple 2-part formula. You start with dalle for from, and you finish with alle for to. Just like the example. Lavoro dalle 9 alle 5. I work from 9 to 5. See? It just bundles up that whole block of time into one clean, simple phrase. And for the last piece of our time-telling puzzle, we have fino a. This is just how you say until. It's perfect for marking when an activity stops. Like, studio fino a mezzogiorno. I study until noon. And that's really the key takeaway here. With just these few little words, alle, the dalle, alle combo, and fino a, you can now put a timestamp on basically any part of your day. Okay, time for our next set of bricks, connecting your actions. So we know when stuff happens, but how do we link it all together to get that smooth, story-like flow? Simple. We need connector words. And the absolute king of connectors is prima. It just means first. This is your go-to word for kicking off any sequence of actions. Think of it as the starting pistol for your daily story. So you could say, for example, a super common start to the day, prima mi lavo I denti. First, I brush my teeth. Bam! We've just locked in the first event on our timeline. But what happens next?
Well, that's where poi comes into play. Poi simply means then, and it is the perfect little Lego brick to just snap right onto your first action. It creates an effortless link between what you just did and whatever you're doing next.
And look at that, we're building our sentence. Prima mi lavo I denti, poi faccio colazione. First I brush my teeth, then I have breakfast. See how easy that was? We just took 2 separate ideas and clicked them together into a little mini story. Now, you've also got another great option, dopo, which means after. It works pretty much just like poi, which is awesome because it gives you some variety. So you don't sound like a robot saying then all the time. It's just another great tool to have in your back pocket. So let's just see this in action. At 7 a.m., prima, I get up. A little later, at 7:15, poi, I take a shower. And then at 8 a.m., dopo, I head out. It's that simple. These 3 little words, prima, poi, dopo, they are the glue that holds your entire story together. All right, next section, describing your habits. We've got our timeline, we've got our flow, but let's be real, life isn't always that rigid, right? We do some things often, other things rarely. So now, let's add some texture and talk about how often we do things. Just think about it for a second. Not everything you do happens 100% of the time. Do you always drink coffee in the morning, or is it more like often? Maybe you never skip breakfast. Using these words is what makes your story sound real, more human. And here they are, your new vocabulary bricks for talking about habits. You've got the extremes, right? Sempre for always, mai for never. But honestly, the real magic happens in the middle. Being able to use words like di solito for usually, or ogni tanto for sometimes. That's what takes you from a rigid timeline to a real flexible description of your actual life. Okay, we have all our main building blocks in place. Now, it's time for the final polish. I've got 2 super quick but super important pro tips for you. These will help you dodge some really common mistakes and make you sound way more natural. Listen up, because this one is a biggie. the difference between prima and prima di. So prima by itself means first, and it kicks off a whole new action, like first I study. But, and this is key, if you want to say before doing something, you have to use prima di plus the basic infinitive form of the verb. Prima di uscire, before going out. Nailing this distinction is a total game changer, I promise.
And pro tip number 2, get ready to love the double negative. I know, in English it's a big no-no, but in Italian it's actually the rule. It's required. To say you never do something, you need both non before the verb and mai after it. So you say, non bevo mai il caffè. It might feel a little strange at first, but trust me, it is 100% correct and how you have to say it. All right, here we go. This is the payoff. We've gathered all of our Lego bricks, the time words, the connectors, the frequency adverbs, and those little grammar pro tips. Let's see what a masterpiece we can build when we click them all together. And here it is. Just look at this beautiful, flowing sentence. Usually, I get up at 7. Before leaving, I always drink a coffee. I work from 9 until 5, and I almost never come home for lunch. Do you see how everything we talked about is in there? We've got di solito for frequency, alle sette for the time, there's our prima di rule in action, sempre to add another habit, the dalle fino a structure for work, and even our double negative with non quasi mai. Every single piece working together to tell a completely natural story. So, that's it. Now it's your turn. You have the tools. You have the time tellers, the connectors, the habit words. You've got the whole box of Lego bricks right in front of you. So the only question now is, what's the first story you're going to build? What's the first sentence you'll use to describe your day in Italian?